Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
An Israeli doctor says in Israel, medicine is so advanced that they can cut out a man's backbone, put it on another man, and in 6 weeks he's looking for work. Well, a German doctor says that's nothing. In Germany, they take part of a man's brain, put it in another man, and in 4 weeks he's looking for work. Well, a Russian doctor says, gentlemen, we take half a heart from a man, put it in another man's chest, and in 2 weeks he's looking for work. And the United States doctor laughs very patiently, and he says, you are all behind us. 6 years ago, we took a man with no brains, no heart, and no backbone, and made him president. Now the whole country is looking for work. Amen. Good morning. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America on a Monday. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much, Kate Smith, and God bless America. I'm Zeb Bell with a very, very sore throat this morning, so bear with me if it gets a little raspy, I'm sorry. And this is Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, along with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers that include Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call 734-6969. And she's got a good, strong voice this morning. Good morning, Gina Jameson.
Well, good morning, sunshine. And how are you doing on this fine Monday?
Just like I said, a little problem with the throat, but other than that, I'm all right on a Monday. I think a lot of it is I'm just doggone tired. How about you?
Well, yeah, it was a very busy weekend. Pretty tired myself.
All right.
It'll be a good day.
Hey, we got a little rain this morning.
Yes, and it's still raining here.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is.
Oh, wow.
Kind of nice.
Well, do we have a pledger?
We have Al on for the pledge and Mr. Michael Rogers on for the weather.
Very good. Al, go ahead if you would, please.
Good morning, Mr. Bell.
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
By the way, on behalf of all the lunch bunchers, we want to thank you for keeping your big butt out of the door. Thank you.
But hey, Zeb, did you happen to catch that Chris Wallace yesterday?
No, I didn't see any television at all yesterday. I apologize.
Well, they had that thoughtful girl on, and that bald-headed guy, and Juan Williams, and a guy from Heritage.
Yeah.
And they was all 4 picking on him, and Juan Williams kept bringing up the race and the Republicans, how bad they're doing it. And that guy, he got mad, and he said, you just knock it off. He said, you've been hollering about the Republicans. He says, you Democrats and your Harry Reid is keeping these from being passed. And boy, Juan shut his mouth right then and there.
I've got a complete story on it here this morning that we're going to talk about a little bit later on, and that along with John Voight, actor John Voight, one of the very few in Hollywood to have the backbone and the guts, let's call it like it is, to stand up and tell the rest of Hollywood what it's like. I appreciate it, Al. Thank you so much.
You bet. Have a good one.
All right, sir. Hey, don't forget it's time for the weather, brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for their blue door. And don't forget they can meet or beat any price on flooring. And they've got a slogan that really is the truth. Where your home design needs are aisles apart, not miles miles apart. Kyle and Whitney Cheney always taking pride in keeping up with the latest trends and designs for your home. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for their blue door. Right now, here, Michael Rogers weather.
69 degrees. You're looking for a high of 78 for today. Gina kind of put a spin on our weather pattern. It's going to be kind of nice, thank you very much, but it is nothing unusual. It's about as normal as you can possibly get. It's the result of the North American monsoon, where you're getting all that moisture coming up from Phoenix all the way up towards your area. Now, let's get to the important stuff right off the bat. First off, you have a flash flood watch. It's going to take effect at lunchtime and continue all the way till 9 o'clock tomorrow night. You are looking for heavy rain and showers. It's going to continue through today, tonight, tomorrow night, taper off on Wednesday. You get a break on Thursday, but not long. You're going to pick right back up where you left off. Temperatures are going to be cooler. The reason why you're getting all this water, and I'll give you the water results, how much water is in the bucket tomorrow morning, is because it's a slow-moving storm. The slower the storm, the more water you get on the ground. So that's your weather pattern. But when you stop and really look at it after what you went through, you know, it's rather nice to get a break, wash everything out, get a lot of water, clean everything out, and start back all over next week. So that's what you're working on for today. I'll have the result of how much water you're going to get in the bucket tomorrow morning. Other than that, enjoy your weather. Don't let you got.
Thank you, Michael. MichaelRogersWeather.com. Brought to everybody by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for their blue door. Give them a call at 678-6945. Once again, I apologize. My throat's just a little bit raspy this morning. We're going to try to hang in there for the full 3 hours. And if not, we've got great backup in the name of Gina Jameson. Hey, Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Have you been in there lately to have your clothes cleaned? You never have? Well, I'll tell you what, cleaning your clothes, that's right, dry cleaning your clothes actually helps lengthen the life of your garments. So stop in there and see the best today at Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Absolutely the best, and they've got prepaid gift cards, too, that you can give your family members or friends on their birthday, etc. Great gifts. Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Really good folks. Oh, and by the way, too, don't forget our friends at SafeLink Internet. We are very, very happy to have them on our program, and they've been here for a long time, and we've had their service in our home with our computer system for a long time. All you have to do is just give them a call and tell them Zeb sent you, 677-8000. That number again, 677-8000, for the best in high-speed wireless Internet. It is SafeLink Internet. You give them a call today, right this minute, okay? Call them, 677-8000. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Hi, Tony.
Having read the opinion section yesterday, we happened to buy a newspaper because we dropped the Times News, where Otter and our three senators are real meanies about these young kids that have been forced on us.
Yeah.
What the Times News failed to do was investigate and find out exactly what the source of the problem was and where that invasion was concocted. That's affecting the United States so badly.
You know, Tony, I read that, and I've got it right here in my hand, and it was a story on the op-ed page called Failing Idahoans in Washington. And this was, I think, a very repugnant slap in the face of our legislators, a repugnant slap in the face of those of us that are on the conservative side of the docket, and it just reeked of one-party rule and how we should basically put down our rules, our regulations, our laws, and our borders, and just let everybody run amok. I was appalled when I read that.
Oh, I read it. I really got upset. You know, this whole thing is not our fault. This thing was engineered probably a couple of years ago by those South American countries and with the aid of Mexico.
Yeah, I mean,
suffering for it now. It's not our problem.
I totally agree with you, and I found this to be a very offensive article, and I tried to get a hold of Speaker of the House Scott Bedke this morning, and also a couple of others, and they're so busy right now with some summer activities and everything, I couldn't get them on the air today, but I'm going to try for tomorrow, and we're going to talk about this, including I've got to call into Craper's office, too. So we'll do the best we can to further this story, and I appreciate you bringing it up.
Okay, thank you, Zeb.
Hey, God bless you, man. Thanks. Yeah, that was the Times News has absolutely just gone straight down Left Avenue, and I just can't believe how they've denigrated anybody on the right or conservatism, and you got to read that yesterday on the op-ed page. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Want to remind you about our friends over at Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street on the Square in Rupert. Oh, my goodness sakes. You couldn't ask for a better place to have breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And she's got a bakery over there that makes wedding cakes and cookie bars and homemade bread and delicious cinnamon rolls. And every Thursday she helps us honor some of our great advertisers by delivering cinnamon rolls to them. Wow, they are really good. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street on the Square in Rupert. You stop in and see those good folks today. Sophie's Chatterbox. Also, our thanks go out to Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. And I know we're going to have just a little respite from the heat this week, the first part of the week. But why don't you run in there and get the new air filters for your air conditioning units? Make sure that they're going to function properly for the rest of the summer. And they've got all your cord ends, your rubber cord, and of course, don't forget they got a lot of light bulbs right there. Go to the light, and that's at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they always provide warm winters and cool summers at Ramsey Heating and Electric. What happened to Nancy Pelosi? And if that was a Republican or conservative legislator in the House that did what she did last week, why, there would have been front-page stories on this, just absolutely demonizing the person that acted like she did. There was a Republican congressman standing up at the podium in his turn at the podium discussing immigration problems. I'm sure a lot of you probably saw this on television. And he was going through his ideas as to how to fix it, what's wrong with it, what we need to do, etc. And Nancy Pelosi became ballistic, and she ran across the chamber floor, wagging her finger and shouting at him like she was some deranged demonic figure, and she gets away with this. She is a kook. Nancy Pelosi is unhinged. How many of you saw that out there in Radio Land? I mean, the woman, absolutely, she is nuts. You don't act like that. She should be censored. She should be punished for her actions against this man. He had every right. He had his turn at the podium. He was not saying anything that was rude or offensive or off color. He was going through his reasons on immigration reform or not. And she just came off the wall. She went ballistic. And they get away with this. Nancy Pelosi deserves to be retired and sent back home to her district in San Francisco area and just never heard from again. What a pathetic excuse for a legislator. I'd like your comments on that. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. She's nuts! Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, fair time is here. Fair time is here. And if you're at the fair or getting ready for the next fair, then you'd better make sure you got all your buckets and your brushes and your health supplies and your feed and everything else right there at Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. And don't forget, too, they got all your clothing, and they've got all your boots. They've got everything you need right there at Valley White Home and Ranch. And the 4-H'ers get 10% off. So you stop in and see them today. Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Mandy and the rest of the crew, absolutely the best. Hey, I've got to say thank you. What an outstanding lunch bunch we had last Thursday. The only person that we missed that was not there was Gina. I don't know what happened. Gina, where were you? We missed you. We had a special seat for you there.
I'm sorry, I couldn't make it. We just have too many things going on here at the station.
No, you've got to set your priorities.
To the man that pays the bill.
Yeah, but you know something? We had a full house. I mean a full house. And it was excellent. And our thanks go to Walmart, Handsome Mortuary, Smith's Food King, and then also our thanks also to Denny's, outstanding food, all the lunch bunchers, and then the artist, Mr. Paul Peterson, made me another cartoon book, and I really appreciate everything. So to Lunch Bunch, we had a ball at Denny's Restaurant. You can stop in anytime, all the time at 611 Overland in Burley, Denny's Restaurant. Oh my goodness, I had some of those pancake poppers. I love those pancake poppers with the cream cheese. Oh, they are so good. What a taste treat. And they've got all kinds of great menu items, breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Denny's Restaurant. Super good, folks. And don't forget, you can give gift cards to someone you like who is really hungry and deserves a chance to have some fun at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. As you may or may not know, the Ebola virus has now been brought to us, the United States, with the 2 doctors from Africa that have the virus, and they have been wrapped literally in protective clothing, wrapped literally in protective environments, and brought here to the United States. Now, that's where the discussion opens up, whether or not that should have happened. There are many, many, many people, myself included, that are against bringing any patients here to this continent with the Ebola virus because it is so deadly. We do not know that much about it at all. We have no clue about the Ebola virus other than it's an extremely deadly virus causing severe bleeding and dehydration and no cure, no stoppage even prior to having the Ebola virus. There's no vaccine, no serum, nothing. And this morning there was a debate on the television earlier, and Donald Trump weighed in, and I agree with him. He said the best doctors and the best medical staffs should have been sent over there to Africa to care for our 2 United States doctors in that environment, studied that environment, and hopefully came up with some kind of an idea or vaccine or serum, whatever, but not to bring it here to the United States. Now, a lot of you people are saying, oh, well, yeah, but these are American doctors and they should be brought home to this country and be treated. I question that. All it's going to take is one mistake, one rubber glove, one surgical mask to not be handled and treated properly, and we could have the exposure of that virus on our shores in this country. Wouldn't it have been better to treat these people over in the country of origin? And 2 of these doctors, they are getting better. They've been taking transfusions. They've been taking a lot of the hydration. But my question is, by bringing them here, how can we safeguard to the 100% assurity that no mistake is going to take place and we won't unleash that virus here in the United States? What are your thoughts? Give me a call. Am I wrong? Should we have brought those 2 home, or should we have treated them over there? Give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Honestly, I'd like to hear you call on that. Snyder Surplus, it just isn't army and hunting supplies. No. They've got something for everyone. I'm telling you, they've got something for everyone. They've got all kinds of goodies over there in their brand new store, brand new merchandise, friendly service, and they're waiting to serve you. I mean, my goodness, I've got a list of all the things they've got over there. I couldn't possibly put it in this commercial. They've got survival equipment and supplies. They've got boots. They've got bedding and blankets and military field desks, and they got all kinds of tools. They've got everything at Snyder Surplus, and they're located at 112 South 200 west of Rupert. You stop in and see them today. Really nice folks at Snyder Surplus. All right, come on, your turn. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Should we, the United States, have brought back the 2 doctors with the Ebola virus to this country? Were we asking and are we asking for the opening of a Pandora's box that once it escapes possibly in this country, oh boy, oh my, what a mess. And how dangerous it can be. Or do you agree with this decision? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, I also want to remind you about our friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. Oh, my goodness sakes, I tell you what, they are busy. We had Eli on the phone with us last week on Thursday talking about all 3 locations, Jerome, Twin Falls, and the new location in Burley, and all the different equipment that they've got. I mean, my goodness, they got the big Doosan loaders, and they've got all the Bobcats, and they got all the Tanaka equipment, steel equipment, Honda equipment. They've got all your tillers, mowers, everything. Hey, what they've got to buy and or lease, you just stop in and check it out. And they've got a full-time shop, full-time certified mechanics serving you at Berry Equipment and Rental. And they're located on Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln in Jerome, and Highway 30 in Burley. You better believe it, Berry Equipment and Rental. I'm really surprised you don't have an opinion on that Ebola virus. Come on, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587, and let me know what your thoughts are on that. I mean, it's an extremely deadly virus that has been more or less contained into certain areas of Africa up until this. But now by bringing these 2 doctors back to the United States, we broke the chain. And it's wide open. Anything goes. One mistake, and it could be deadly. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeb. Yes, of course, Ebola should scare us all to death because it is an equal opportunity bug, and it doesn't care who it infects.
What would you have done? Brought them back home or treated them over there?
Well, I don't know. I hope that the people who made the decision are very, very bright and very confident. I think that get them out of the source of the epidemic, but who knows? And then on the other hand, how do we know what kind of crapola is coming across our southern border?
Well, your point is well taken there, but let's back up just for a second, Chris, real quick. What about all the planes coming in from Africa on people that are from Africa, various regions that have had the Ebola virus? We're not doing any checking on these people when they come off the planes in New York or any other point of import.
There you go. Okay. Hey, listen, I don't know, but Ebola is no disease that we even want to be around or mess with. I hope that brighter minds were in control.
All right, now it sounds like you got a full house over there, so have a good day, Chris.
I do. My little granddaughter just showed up.
Okay. All right, take care. Thank you. And I thought she was talking to somebody else. Her little granddaughter got in the door, and she says, well, how are you today? Well, we'll talk more about this in just a minute. But right now, let's listen to the Capital Press Ag Minute. I'll be right back.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
The Department of Agriculture is moving to cut down on the thousands of foodborne illnesses linked to chicken and turkey each year with an overhaul of poultry plant inspection rules that are more than 50 years old. The rule would reduce the number of government poultry inspectors, but those who remain will focus more on food safety than on quality, requiring them to pull more birds off the line for closer inspections and testing. More inspectors would check the facility to make sure they are clean. The new rule would also better train inspectors to find hazards in the plant and would require all companies to do additional testing for pathogens. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack said the changes take into account current science, updating the inspection system from the 1950s, thinking that visual defects mean safety problems.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Oh, thank you very much. Hey, the Jerome County Fair is this week. Don't forget, today, Monday, they got a 4-H horse show. It started exactly 1 minute ago, as a matter of fact. And they've got all kinds of great events going on today. They're entering all the small animals and getting things ready to rock and roll. And then tomorrow at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, they've got their great big street parade at 5 p.m. And then, of course, on Tuesday also, PRCA Rodeo starts, and it runs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And Friday at 7 p.m. in the arena, they're going to have the big pig wrestling. Oh, my goodness, they got all kinds of fun going on for you at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo. Right over at the Jerome County Fairgrounds, you get over and enjoy some fun. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear about John Voight? Remember John Voight? I think he won an Academy Award for his portrayal in Midnight Cowboy. I almost said Urban Cowboy. That was John Travolta. But it was Midnight Cowboy, John Voight. And that really did kickstart his career. And John Voight, you would think, would be very, very kind of liberal left, like most others in Hollywood. No, quite contraire. John Voight spoke out this weekend against Hollywood and the so-called elite, and he just absolutely ripped into fellow actors because some of the actors are coming out in favor of Hamas, the terror group Hamas, versus Israel. And he called himself more than angry. Actor John Voight penned an open letter in response to several Spanish stars' condemnation of Israel, and some of those Spanish stars included Penelope Cruz, and he just absolutely challenged these people, and he said they are ignorant of what's going on with Israel. They are ignorant, and they should hang their heads in shame as to what they wrote in that letter. And kudos to John Voight. Some of Hollywood's so-called elite have started to badmouth Israel, and John Voight stood up and said, nope, you're wrong, and he's really blasting them, and said basically they're stupid, and they are blessed to have the job they have, blessed to have all the amenities that are provided as being stars, and they're not smart enough to know it. Good for John Voight. Kudos to him. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I'd like to hear what you have to say about the Ebola virus, Nancy Pelosi, John Voight, and then old Mitt Romney. My goodness, guess who's at the top of the pile this morning? Guess who most Americans want to run for president again? And when asked, most Americans have said, gee, maybe we looked at him wrong the first time. Maybe we didn't pay attention to what he was saying. Maybe he should have had his policies instead of Obama. Maybe we better run him again. What are your thoughts about having Mitt Romney run again for president? While I'm doing a commercial, I want you to weigh in and tell me about Mitt Romney or anything else you've got on your mind this morning. Give us a call. Hey, by the way, some of the Cassia County merchants that are supporting the Cassia County Fair include Dot Foods in Burley, and they're now hiring, 678-6063, and you can go to their website, drivefordot.com, and working at Dot really is like working for a family. Yes, say most of the people that work there. Family-owned company that really cares, and they offer very easily attainable bonuses, for everything from fuel economy to safety as you work for that company. Call them and you'll see Dot Foods in Burley now hiring 678-6063. Caller, I'll be right there. Also, Golden Valley Warehouse, 468 West, 1000 South, Burley, 678-7324. Locally owned and operated, quality seated, competitive prices, and they'll continue to provide the customer service and the best seat available at Golden Valley Warehouse. And let's not forget Joe Taylor with Carey and Adams Realty. My buddy, 1826 Overland Avenue in Burley, buying and selling real estate. One call does it all when you call Joe, 678-9400. He's the man. Joe Taylor with Carey and Adams Realty. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Seeing you Thursday.
Well, and we appreciate you being at Lunch Munch, too. Thank you very much.
You know, speaking of Mitt Romney was willing to sacrifice a lot when he ran for president last time. All the ridicule, his religion, all these other things. But nobody can find one thing that he predicted that hasn't come true.
That's right. That's true.
And some people say, maybe this guy knows what he's talking about.
Well, you know, Keith, the Candy Crowleys of the world, Candy absolutely upset the apple cart in the presidential debate when she stopped everything, when Romney he literally had Obama on the ropes and could have just absolutely gone for the knockout punch, and she jumped in and basically played Superwoman of not much intelligence, and she stopped the debate right there and stopped the momentum in Romney's favor, and I think that was the turning point right there. But everything that he said about Russia, everything that he said about our foreign policy is coming home to roost, is it not?
That's true. And what does Obama know about foreign policy? And he doesn't have any guts. You know, a president, I never did care much for Truman, but he made a decision that was going to cost a lot of lives and everything, and he knew that. And he did the right thing because America's free today, and he probably saved more lives than were taken.
Yeah, but wait a minute, though. Whether you liked his decision or not, and there's many that didn't, he made a decision. He made a decision during a crisis. And this man, Obama, is deferring everything. He's just absolutely kissing up to the world's leaders. They view him as very weak. They're laughing at him and us behind our backs. And I'm very concerned as to what's going to happen with the remaining 2 years of this presidency.
Well, I go back to Ronald Reagan. When Ronald Reagan spoke, he meant what he said, and he said what he meant.
I agree with that.
And people, he left them shaking in their boots if they didn't do what he predicted, because he had the United States behind him. There isn't anyone here in the United States that would really stand behind Obama and his decision, because he doesn't know anything.
Well, he's never run a business, let alone a country. He's never had dirty hands from really getting involved in a business or trying to meet the payroll or trying to figure out how to get a business afloat or keep it afloat. And now, for this man that was a very poor senator from the state of Illinois, very poor senator, with one of the poorest voting records, is the leader of the free world, and I use those words loosely. Keith, we have problems right now with this man that I don't think are going to be surmountable.
No one outside of this country is afraid of him, except for the fact of what he may do, but they're not afraid of him putting his foot down and making things right.
I agree.
He's just not that kind of guy.
I agree, but now let me go back to the original. I want some more people to call on this too. Is it too little, too late, or do you think a repeat performance from Mitt Romney could be effective?
Absolutely. If people really knew Mitt Romney, his generosity, his firmness, his business head, his thoughts on foreign policy. It just goes on and on and on. This is a very, very intelligent man.
All right. Well, Keith, I appreciate your call. God bless you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Can Mitt Romney run again, possibly, I'm saying possibly, against Hillary Clinton? We don't know for sure if she's going to be the front runner on the Democratic ticket or not. One can only surmise that she will be. But can he lay all of his cards out on the table again and be effective for the Republican Party again and be respected more so than he was the first time? That's the question I'm asking. Or is it someone else? I had a very dear friend call me the other day, and we were talking politics, and I'll tell you what, I think the Republican Party right now, or conservatism in general, regardless, let's not hang party affiliation to it. Let's just say a conservative that has conservative values. I think Trey Gowdy would be the man of the future. I don't know if he can be groomed enough to become president in 2016, but there is a young guy that's got the spit, the vinegar, and the fire in his eye to tell things the way that they are and should be, and that's something that's lacking in politics today. What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I'm not taking anything away from Romney. I thought that Romney, he was just too nice a guy. He had chances, and you got to admit this, he had chances during the presidential debates to literally go for the jugular, even without the likes of Candy Crowley. And he didn't do it. He has to be more on offense instead of defense. If he decides to run again, he's got to be the junkyard dog in order to get his point across. What about you? Do you want him to run again? Do you want him to fade into obscurity? Do you have somebody else that you think could do a better job? We are in the proving stages right now of who's going to jump to the forefront and who's going to try to right the ship of this country, because we're going the wrong way. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
That deal with Nancy Pelosi, I think it's very funny. I mean, when truth hits home, liberals get real upset. And she got upset.
Yeah, but Doug, let me ask you something. I know you thought it was funny. And in some respects it was laughable, but to me it showed a deranged woman that has been in politics way too long, doesn't understand the decorum or the protocol as to what's supposed to be done. When she's up at the podium, and if that would have been that Republican congressman running across the floor waving his finger at her, what do you think would have happened to him?
Oh, he'd have been called on the carpet, and the media would have just crucified him.
Absolutely. But she is deranged. This woman absolutely has no place in politics with her kind of mental breakdown that she showed the other day.
Yes. And her comment, did you hear her comment about Hamas being a humanitarian organization?
Yes.
I mean, what comes out of her mouth is just unreal.
Well, and it's all the more reason that I think she needs to be replaced, censured, or punished in some way, because you do not have on the floor of the House that kind of a demeanor to run across the floor wagging your finger and yelling at someone when they have been given the time and opportunity to speak at the podium the same as she has had.
Exactly. I mean, but like I said, when the truth hits home, it hurts.
Absolutely. Doug, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Good to hear from you. Thank you. Caller number 2, I know you're there now. You've got to please show me a little patience right now. I'm only going to take 60 seconds and have a weather forecast with MichaelRogersWeather.com. Brought to everybody by Burley Glass, 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley, working hard to provide great service to all the communities in Magic Valley. The best of windows, and by the way, try the vinyl windows. Oh my goodness, they will help increase the energy efficiency of your home by at least 2 to 3 times. All of this with Burley Glass, General Ben and Leslie and the whole crew, 678-1459. Here right now, Michael Rogers with the weather.
Hey everyone, Michael Rogers is at the ranch. you've got rain in your forecast. You've got a flash flood watch. It's going to be in effect from noon until tomorrow at 9 p.m. 2 words to give you a reason why this is happening, and it's called slow moving. You've got a slow-moving storm. So be advised, this is what you're going to be going through for the next couple of days. You'll come out of it on Wednesday as you work your way toward the later portion of the week. Things are going to get a little bit better, but you're going to walk right back into showers on Thursday and a possible thunderstorm on Friday. Other than that, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Always great weather forecast. Burley Glass bringing us the weather at 1029 Oberlin Avenue in Burley. Yes, sirree, the best of windows. How do I know? Because they put them in my office, and they are fantastic. Burley Glass, thank you much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
If we had a whole bunch of Congress full of Trey Gowdies, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in.
Well, I agree with you, but let me ask you something. I'll be honest with me, Fred. And I felt bad that you and I didn't get a chance to talk politics a little bit the other day at Lunch Bunch. But now be honest about this question. Trey Gowdy has not had the exposure. Trey Gowdy has not had anything more than a couple of instances on the national news. Do you think that a person like him can be groomed quick enough for 2016, or should they wait and bring out his guns in 2020?
I think he's probably going to have to wait. What do you think?
I hate to say this, Fred, but I'd like to see him jump in the fray right now and muddy the waters and make a lot of people nervous, which I think he can, but I don't think that he's got enough recognition right now. Before the next 4 years after 16, I think he'd be a prime candidate for the 2020.
Well, I do too. I think you're dead right about the recognition. That'd be my thought.
But now go back to Mitt Romney. I wanted Mitt to win really, really bad the last time because I knew he was right about the Russian problem. I knew he was right about the economy, etc. But can he lay his cards face up on the table one more time and get the respect, hopefully, from the news media, or is he basically wasting time even thinking about rerunning?
Oh, I'd like to see him run. What do you think?
I'm torn, Fred, because sometimes when you reread an old newspaper, everybody goes hum and haw, and I'm very concerned.
You got something there.
Yeah, I'm very concerned.
Who would you want to see run?
Well, therein lies the problem, and you know the dissertation of the Republican Party has been blah, 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 and they haven't done anything. They've just sat there and had so much infighting, whether it's in regards to the Tea Party influence or whether it's their conservatism. They need to start getting together and saying, okay, here's our power play. We're going to run so-and-so at quarterback, we're going to have so-and-so at fullback, and here's our offensive line. They've got to get organized like a football team right now, Fred, because right now they're worse than a powder puff football team.
That's right. They need to get a good conservative in there. You know me, Zeb. I'm more conservative. I'm more Tea Party.
Absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, except that there's got to be this disarray stopped. It's got to stop. They've got to figure out how they can have some power. They've got to figure out what they're going to do on immigration. They've got to figure out where they're going to go on the economy. They've got to figure out about Obamacare. They've got to come up with replacements on foreign policy that are going to be meaningful. We've got a whole bunch of problems to address, but nobody's got the backbone. I had to watch myself right there.
Yeah, I know. I heard the hesitation.
Yeah, I know you did. But isn't it the truth?
It's the truth. Absolutely.
All right, God bless you, my dear friend. Thanks for your call, as always. I appreciate it. Thank you. You know, Fred asked a really good question. I don't know about Cruz. I don't know about all these other people that are waiting in the wings. But when you look at Trey Gowdy, this guy, I almost said kid. He's not a kid. But when you look at Trey Gowdy, there's a guy that you can just see he's got the fire in his eye. He's got that passion for really, I think, getting to the bottom line and the truth. I like that. I respect that. And I also like the fact that he's not afraid to step on somebody's toes. I have said for a long time in politics, if you want to get in the big dance, don't worry about getting your toes stepped on. It's going to happen. And you know, I don't care who it is in politics. Look at John McCain. There's a good example. John McCain should have went home, sat on the back deck, and watched cactus grow in Arizona. Is he effective? No. Will he be effective again? No. Is he respected right now? I don't think so. We need a refurbishment. We need new blood. Personally, and I know some people are going to be offended by this, I think that we need term limits on a national exposure basis, and we also need an age limit. Now, okay, I'm 66. That might be the age limit. 65 might be the cutoff. But when you've got guys that are 75, 80, 83, 87, 88, rerunning and rerunning and rerunning like Charlie Rangel in there, that's ridiculous and you know it. We need a resurgence of power and thought in this country instead of the good old boys network. Do you agree or disagree? Give me a call. About 90% of these guys need to be turned out to pasture, literally. Oh, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Deanne, I need your help here real quick. I have failed to find one of my sponsors, and I can't find it. It's gone. And I don't know what happened to it. Oh, my goodness. Where's my Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers? Well, would you just maybe... Oh, wait a minute. They were stuck in Snyder's surplus. Well, my goodness, there we go. We've got it all saved. Thank you, Dee. I appreciate it. Hey, we're the best of tires. Always. All the different tread designs for all the different type of driving that you do, whether it's with your car, your SUV, your pickup trucks, whatever, horse trailers, boat trailers, whatever. They've got the tires you need, the best in tires, and the best in brake service, the best in front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, etc. But I want to back up and say the best of service. I'm so blessed to have the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers as my main corporate sponsor. Because they take care of people. I have sat there at various locations, and I have watched the service, listened to the people, talk to the customers, and they really care. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, Randy on Overland and Burley, the best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, Gina, what did you do this weekend that you were so busy all the time?
Basically, we worked on my car again.
Which one, the black car?
This is the black car, yeah.
The black car that runs out of gas?
Yes, that would be the one.
And what did you do, put a bigger gas gauge in it?
No, actually, we replaced the fuel filter because when I ran it out of gas, I sucked up a whole bunch of gunk. And so my check engine light came on and some sensors were going off, so we had to replace the fuel filter. You
need to put one of these, big strobe lights on the dash.
I know.
And when it gets down to a quarter of a tank, there's a voice that comes on and says, "You're low on fuel, you're low on fuel, you're low on fuel, you're low on fuel."
And just continually go until I actually, stop at the gas station and put some gas in, yeah.
I learned a good lesson years ago, and I was one of those guys that would go down to maybe a quarter of a tank or less. And I can't play holier than thou because I did the same thing you did.
Yeah.
And I made a promise never to go under a half a tank anytime.
I've only ran out of gas twice ever. 3 times. Okay, I take that back. 3 times. And all of them were different vehicles. And it's just trying to figure out when it says E, when it doesn't really stop, and so I've tested that limit on 3.
All right, thank you. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
Hey, you were talking about the power in the legislature. And in Utah, where I just came from, we have Senator Orrin Hatch. He was running last year, and his big claim to fame was that I've been in for 30 years, and you need me back there for the power that I have. And I kept thinking to myself, why does it take power to do the right thing?
You know, that's an interesting way to phrase it. Why does it take power to do the right thing? Now, let's...
You've got to be in there so long to get enough clout back in D.C., but yeah, why do you have to have enough clout to do the right thing? My next thing is we're sitting here complaining about the legislature and all the wrong choices that they're making, but nobody wants to mention the lobbyists. The lobbyists have the power. So if you was running for Congress, you need money to buy yourself into Congress, correct? Lots of money. You there?
Yeah, I'm listening, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, so it takes lots of money. So say a lobbyist union came to you and says, I'm going to give you $500,000 to run because I like your agenda and what you're standing for. All of a sudden, a bill comes up on the floor that you think is wrong, but yet it's in favor of who gives you $500,000. How are you going to vote?
Absolutely. You know, I've only got a minute left before I've got to go to the news, and I want to throw an idea at you. I have been in favor of a cap, ceiling on spending of advertising, and whether it's a state contest or whether it's a national contest. And I absolutely think that with a cap on spending, there would absolutely be a more open and integrated type process to where we could get some people that just aren't of monetary means, but maybe have some excellent ideas involved in politics. What are your thoughts, quickly?
Okay, I got one more thought for you. What about charging every voter $4, and that $4 goes to pay for anybody that's running? Spread it out evenly between everybody, and that's what they have to spend it on.
That one I'm going to have to think about for a few moments. I see some good, and I see some negative.
Where do you put the cap at? I can't afford $500,000 to run against somebody else. I can't afford $100,000 to run. You know what I mean? The people that need to be running are the people that can't afford to run.
I agree with you. You know, call again, and I'm going to mull some things over that you said and discuss that later on tomorrow morning on the program. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
God bless you, man. Thanks. Hey, he has his head on his shoulders, and he's thinking with it, too, I'll tell you. Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm going to take a little break. I'm running late. Got to go to the news. I'll see you in 6. Oh, here we are, hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, along with our major corporate sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with also some of our great advertisers, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland in Burley. Nice people. Along with our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho,
I just talked to some folks this last week. As a matter of fact, we're getting ready to have a great, big, huge family reunion, and they said they had like 150 people coming. Woo! That is a big one. They're going to have a great big city park and everything. Well, they'll probably need the services of Western Waste Services for porta potties. You better call them today. And, of course, they've got everything you need, whether it's dumpsters, you name it, portable storage units. They've got everything for you. All you have to do is call 734-6969. Remember, Western Waste Services always at your disposal. 734-6969. Wonderful people. Hey, by the way, we missed a birthday on Friday, and it's one of our lunch bunchers, and we want to say Friday, August 1st, was the birthday to Mrs. Osterhout that comes to our lunch bunch, and we want to say thank you very much. Hope you had a wonderful, wonderful birthday. And don't forget Vicky's Country Gardens at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. And on Thursdays, we have the program called Gardening for Idiots, named after me. And it's all about gardening, and it's all about landscaping, and everything you need to do do to raise a great garden. From Vicki at Vicky's Country Garden on the Burley Paul Highway, 438-5663. Real fast, also, I want to remind you about our dear friends at Hanson Mortuary with Joel Heward, the manager. And this really is a family, the Heward family, that cares for you and will serve you any time of the day or night. Flexible hours, they're there when you need them. I'll guarantee you that. With the highest ethical standards and unquestioned integrity, please remember their telephone number at 436-5636. Once again, that phone number, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, serving you, and they believe that every life is worth remembering, and they will help you any way they can at Hanson Mortuary. Right now, let's go to the phone lines, and I can't wait to hear how his trip is going. Good morning, Frosty Woldridge. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb Bell. It's always a pleasure, sir, and happy Monday morning to every listener. Sandy and I are just about to head into Oregon here by tomorrow. Fantastic trip. Just extraordinary sight. Anybody who wants to go to Facebook, you can Frosty Woldridge on my Facebook, and I'm posting a lot of pictures and some quotes of bicycle travel, and I think you'll have a lot of fun. And if you go to newswithviews.com, you'll see the 2012 coast-to-coast bicycle ride. I just had that publishing twice a week, and it's not this ride, but it's a ride across America, and each one has full pictures. So newswithviews.com will give you a kind of a fun rendition of what it's like to be on a long-distance bicycle tour, and all the things that come up and happen, and all the people that come into your life, and all the crazy characters, and all that goes with it. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And the current one, of course, just go to my Facebook, Frosty Woldridge on Facebook, and you'll see a lot of the pictures of Sandy pedaling down the road. And one afternoon we had dinner at the Eagle Cafe on the Hood Canal, coming out of Port Townsend, and we had a whole nest of baby swallows. And the mother and the father were feeding them, and so we're sitting there eating dinner, and the birds are chirping and getting themselves fed too. So, many magical things like that, and of course all the different characters along the line. So it's been a fabulous trip through Washington, and it's been sunny every day here in Washington, which is pretty rare. So we were pretty thankful for that.
All right, now I need to ask this because basically it's the crux of, I think, a lot of information that you're getting from the grassroots Americans on your trip. What are their thoughts? What are their feelings? What are their attitudes towards where we're at in this country? I'm sure you've had a chance to visit with some people.
I certainly have. I've had one man, when I get that sixth question down, what do you think, how is America going right now? And I ask about the immigration situation. One man, he said, it's so disgusting that our own elected representatives fail us as far as adhering to the Constitution. Our own representatives fail us in enforcing the laws of our country. And then one other one said, it makes no sense to keep bringing all of these people into this country when we've got all of these people. One guy went off and started, and his wife was also part of this. If you all go to feedamerica.org, 1 in 5 children in America has hunger problems. They don't get fed enough. They don't have enough food. And yet, as I've said before, we're importing 100,000 legal immigrants every 30 days. One couple said, we're simply losing grasp of our country. And that's what they said. This I'm quoting. I've just got my little notebook here. We're losing grasp of our country. And I'll have to tell you, as I have been coming down the coast here, I got to tell you, there's a whole bunch of people that don't speak English. We went to one place called Shelton, and there was an Islamic chanting, whole big mosque going on there in a little town like Shelton, which is just backwater
America, and it's got itself a really growing Muslim community. And of course, Muslims, they can't help themselves. They're so tribal. They're so ethnically ethnocentric. Ethnocentric, of course, means it's just them and no one else. And when you get that kind of a situation, you're almost like a little mini Detroit there. You start having it's called a caliphate, and what Muslims do is they just keep growing their numbers until they simply take over any and all areas, and that's happening in Europe. So we're seeing that here. There's all these different foreign communities that literally don't speak English, and they don't care. And unbelievable, a lot of illegal Mexicans up here in Washington, and they're doing all the roofing jobs. They've taken jobs away from Americans, and they're taking away the janitorial jobs. They're taking away the lawn jobs and displacing Americans. So Washington really has a tremendous influx of legal and illegal immigrants that are here. And again, they simply take the jobs away from Americans because they will undercut the wages at any point. And that's what another couple. In fact, the wife said, "Well, we're from Los Angeles," and she said, "It's hopeless." That was the wife. The wife said that, and her husband, Robert, he said, "I'll second that. It's hopeless." In other words, Los Angeles is so taken over by illegal Mexican immigrants. But she said, if you go into any of the arenas of Los Angeles, there's Koreatown, there's Chinatown, there's Ethiopia Town. There's certainly one city. It's called Fremont. Is almost totally Muslim, and so that's what we have heard so far. Some of the other comments. One guy said, that question, don't get me started because I'll just raise my blood pressure. So that's thus far the kind of conversations I've had, and those are some of the quotes, Deb, is that we're simply losing grasp of our country. And I'll tell you what, as I've said in articles over the years, we're losing the ethos. The ethos, that's the way our society works. That's the grassroots level of our religion, our spirituality, our way of life, the American way of life, the American dream. We're losing that because we're importing so many people from all over the world that have no connection with our ethos, with our grand American way of life, and they're just fracturing and fragmenting it into these different communities, and we've certainly passed through them as we've been traveling down through Washington. So it'll be interesting to see how we see it in Oregon and how it, continues to build. Because I know one of the places in California, one of the towns north of San Francisco, is all Chinese, and you can go to the malls there, and everybody speaks Chinese. Everybody is literally Chinese, and there's no assimilation. There's no speaking of English, and they're simply taking over the town. And so that's pretty much what thus far that we've been seeing.
Okay, now I'm going to have a little difference over your verbiage, and you correct me if you think I'm wrong. You said that most people are saying that we're losing our grasp of our country, and I disagree. I think we're not losing it. I think that we're just giving it away because we're not trying to keep it. Would you agree with that?
Have I lost you?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me, Frosty? Hello, check 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Are you there?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so did you get the last part of what I was saying?
Yeah, but hold real still on that phone. Don't move, whatever you do. I was saying that okay. I take a little issue with the statement that we're losing our grasp of our country. I personally don't think that's the right verbiage. I think we're giving it away. Would you agree or disagree with me?
I would certainly agree with that. When you import 100,000 people every 30 days from all over the world, from 150 different countries, you definitely are giving your country away. So we are giving our country away, and that's the reason this one couple said that we're losing grasp of our country.
You know, Frosty, you're getting a chance right now that a lot of us, I get a chance to travel a lot and meet a lot of people, but you're seeing and listening to and understanding the grassroots. And I would imagine that a lot of people are upset. A lot of people want to see change, but why aren't they getting involved in trying to push for a change?
Well, primarily, you know, it's really amazing. I watched I read the news this last week, and the House of Representatives had a vote on giving visas to all these illegal aliens, and it was narrowly defeated, I think, 216 to 191. And so 216 House reps said, no, let's don't give visas to these illegal aliens because we need to have the jobs for American citizens. But the question, Zeb, is how did 191 and only 4 Democrats actually voted with the 216, and so you got 191 other elected representatives in the House of Representatives of the United States are voting to give illegal aliens visas to work jobs here in America when we've got well over 12 million Americans that don't have jobs. Another 7 million are underemployed, in other words, working 20 hours a week at minimum wage. That shows you the level of bribery, the level of dishonesty, the loss of integrity of the 191 who voted to give illegal aliens visas and work permits. It makes no sense, Zeb.
Well, I agree with you, but now we're looking at a situation where this president wants to supersede his powers, wants to step out with his executive orders and his phone and his pen, and basically the threat is that in September he's going to grant amnesty to at least 5 million illegal aliens in this country, and the American people are outraged, but nobody's doing anything about it.
Well, there are some, again, for those of you who want to empower yourself, www.capsweb.org, capsweb.org, and numbersusa.org, that's over 2.5 million people right now, FAIR, FAIRUS.org. So we do have some clout. And as a matter of fact, the FAIR members and the CAPSWeb members at over 200,000, I think 2.25, and then along, of course, the over 1.5 million Numbers USA members melted the phone lines down, and that was one of the reasons that we stopped any kind of amnesty and any kind of visa freebies over the last week now.
Frosty, when you finish up on this trip, you have said that you're going to write a book, and you're already writing various and sundry articles about this. What's the number one thing you hope to accomplish by taking this trip and writing about this trip?
Well, so many Americans are so frustrated. I mean, talking to these Americans that are just out here on America's highways from the different states, they're so frustrated that many have just given up in disgust. I'm just going to write their frustrations because clearly we are giving our country away. We're losing grasp of our country, and I just want to bring that to the light of day. I understand there's a lady named Rachel Maddow who actually interviews persons like me who are clear, who have great understanding of what's happening to America, and I'm going to do everything I can to get on the Rachel Maddow show and any other shows to really bring to light the stories of America, the frustrations of Americans at the grassroots level, just down home. I'm going through just down home little communities. I'm in Elma right now, Elma, Washington, just a little down home community. And it's getting affected, and every small community is getting affected because they're pushing all of these foreigners into the school systems, and they're pushing them into the HUD housing and the Section 8 housing, and they're just giving these people free breakfasts and lunches, and they're giving them food stamps, and they're giving them all of this stuff that we paid for, that we earned, and they don't have any vested interest. They haven't contributed to America. They just come over here and they get to be welfare recipients. And so I'll be exposing that, and I'm really going to make a bigger push this fall to get on Charlie Rose and say, hey, you can't keep ignoring this. Get on any and all radio programs across the country with my experience. And so that's what I'm going to do really big time when I get back in the fall.
What about your wife, Sandy? Now, I don't know what her past experience has been on major road trips with the bikes, but what's been her biggest shock, if you will, that she's learned while on this trip?
Well, she is fascinated at this kind of travel, and she's heard some of these same stories herself. She's not as politically. I mean, she supports me 100%, but she's not as politically involved in this. But I can tell you, she is a former case manager nurse, and she had to serve illegal aliens working in these companies and corporations in Denver. And it was very frustrating for her that she was getting all of this medical, these illegals were getting medical care on our dime, on her tax dollars. So she has her frustrations with it. She just simply, she just simply had to go with the company line. And when the company doesn't allow any kind of dissension or doesn't allow anybody to speak up, then you just simply have to remain silent. And that's, I'm sure, happening across the board, across the country, because so many people are hiring illegal aliens that if they get free insurance from the American taxpayer, you can't say anything for fear of your own job. And that's one of the things that she had to deal with when she was working as a case manager nurse.
Frosty, one more question and a short answer on this because I'm almost out of time. As you may or may not know, the United States brought back to this country 2 American doctors from Africa that have the Ebola virus. They are very, very sick, and they brought them back into this country. I'm against it. I thought they should have been treated over there with the best of medical attention over in Africa. Now the Pandora's box is open for Ebola virus to come here. What are your thoughts, quickly?
Yeah, I agree with you. They should have been treated over in Africa. This Ebola virus is the vectors on this thing and the way it spreads are horrific. And you shouldn't bring anyone with Ebola into our country, because you get that little virus out into the general public and all hell is going to break loose. The same thing is happening with all of these children coming across the border with scabies and with tuberculosis and with any and all kinds of diseases. This is beyond foolish. Those doctors and those people that we brought back over here with Ebola, they chose to go to Africa. That's their responsibility. It's not ours to save them. They put themselves in harm's way. That is absolutely completely out of touch with reality. They should have taken responsibility, and they should have stayed over in Africa. And if they're going to live or they're going to die, it should have been on their choice, not putting American citizens at risk. I
agree. Now, quickly, Frosty, what about next week on Monday? Where are you going to be by next Monday?
We should be somewhere we'll be in Oregon or on the northern California coast, because it only takes about 4 or 5 days to get through Oregon. So hopefully we'll be in the southern part of Oregon or the northern part of California, and I look forward to speaking to you then.
All right, my dear friend Frosty Woolridge, Touring America. Thank you, Frosty. God bless you and your wife, Sandy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb. Godspeed, my friend.
Thank you. I tell you what, isn't that great? I mean, Frosty and his wife, Sandy, they've saved a lot of money up to go and take these various road trips, bike trips, etc. I think it's fantastic, and they're really getting the pulse of America. Don't forget Cheney Flooring and Home Design with Kyle and Whitney Cheney. Wonderful people that really care about your hardwood, laminate flooring, your carpet, your cabinets, your natural stone, Oakley stone, all the countertops. They can do anything. That's right, and they can meet or beat any price on flooring. And they'll provide free in-house consultation, too. Where your home design needs are aisles apart, not miles apart. At Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Call them 678-6945. And if you're going to go to their location at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, look for their blue door. Really nice people. Hey, the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo is kicking off, and it's underway. They started this morning with a great big horse show, and they're entering all the livestock, entering all the classes today. And tomorrow on Tuesday, don't forget they're going to have their huge rabbit show at 12:30 p.m., and then they're going to have the goat show, and then tomorrow night they're going to have on Tuesday, great big parade at 5 p.m., and then at 7:30 tomorrow night, the start of the PRCA Rodeo at the Depew Arena. All of this and much more going on all week long at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo. Everybody head to Jerome and the Jerome County Fairgrounds. Really nice people. Hey, by the way, did you hear that? And you're going, hear what? Hear what? Well, did you hear that? Well, you want to make sure that you can hear everything that's going on around you. And we were blessed at Lunch Brunch the other day to have audiologist Christine Pickup there. And on behalf of her business, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and you better make an appointment to go and see if she can help you make sure that you're hearing what you should be. That's right. She's located at 1218 9th Street, Unit 2, right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across the street from the emergency room. You can't miss it. Or call for an appointment today, 312-0957. 312-0957. Hearing loss is not a part of aging, and don't ignore hearing loss. Take care of it, and she might have some answers for you at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Really a nice lady. Oh, my goodness sakes, and don't forget, too, our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. They want to make sure you're covered. They want to make sure you're taken care of. They want to make sure that you have sat down and taken the time to protect yourself. Okay? Call them today, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Absolutely the best professionals serving you. I want to also remind you, too, that Wednesday night, I'm a day ahead of myself. Don't forget the Jerome County Fair and Roping this week, will not be held because of the Jerome County Fair. Remember that. There will be no roping in Jerome this week, Wednesday, but there will be a team roping up in Cary on Thursday night. Same situation. They'll register at 6:30, rope at 7, up at the Cary Rodeo Grounds, and that's going to be this Thursday night. Don't forget that. Hey, don't forget, too, Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. The 2015 models are coming in right now. Dirt bikes, Can-Am, side-by-sides, and a lot of rebates on some of the 2014 models. And they got generators, whether you're going camping or whether you want a generator in your home for protection in case the power goes off. They've got everything at Let's Ride. Absolutely. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Let's Ride. Yep, where the fun is sold. Really good people. Let's get on the phone lines right now, and we're going to talk to a lovely lady with the Alliance Defending Freedom, and that, of course, is Carrie Kupek. Good morning, Carrie. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Doing well.
I'm sorry, I had a whole bunch of things to take care of. I didn't mean to have you wait on hold for so long, so my apologies to you.
No, it was great listening. It was a great host.
Thank you.
Hearing what you have to say about the ads.
You know, I always try to put a face with a name, and we were blessed. My wife and I were watching the news the other day, early in the morning, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, there was Carrie Kupek on Fox News. Congratulations, you made the big time.
Thank you. It was great being able to speak about the abuse of Planned Parenthood and just letting the American people know what's going on with their tax dollars. So it was really exciting to be on to share that.
Let me ask you a question, though, about being on the national news coverage like that. And I really like Fox and Friends in the morning. But are you making any headway? Are you making any movement towards the positive by getting your message out about Planned Parenthood when you go on those national newscasts? Or are there people that are scoffing at you and trying to denigrate your remarks?
I think people like to hear truth, and I was sharing truth. You know, the attorneys at Alliance Defending Freedom have worked very hard to compile reports for the last 3 years, which show that 1 in 4 Planned Parenthood affiliates are involved in waste, abuse, and possibly fraud of taxpayer money. And the bottom line is the government has an obligation to spend taxpayer money responsibly, and American people have a right to know where their taxpayer dollars are going. So I think that Americans appreciate knowing what's going on with their hard-earned money and really would like to know the truth on that.
Let me ask you this, Carrie. What would you say to the general public that knows that they have a Planned Parenthood office in their hometown? And would you say that there's got to be checks and balances, that they can find out whether or not they're doing things on the up and up? How do we know? How can we check on them?
Well, a couple of things. One, anyone can go to investigatetheirplan.org, which lays out all of the instances of waste, abuse, and possible fraud of Planned Parenthood's use of taxpayer dollars. So that's one place to go that kind of lays it all out very easily and clearly for you. And the second thing to do would be to contact your local representative or an elected official and let them know that this is not something that we want to fund. This is not something that we want to give up our hard-earned tax dollars for, especially when an organization like Planned Parenthood is exploiting it and exploiting women to achieve their financial goals. So those are the two things that I would do as someone who wants to see their money being used responsibly and for the common good.
Very good, very good. Now, I want to talk to you about a couple of cases and what's going on with Virginia's marriage amendment. Bring us up to speed on how the Alliance Defending Freedom is involved over in the state of Virginia.
Right. Well, every child deserves to have a mom and a dad, to know that mom and a dad. And Virginians had passed a constitutional amendment affirming marriage as this one man, one woman union, understanding this principle. And, you know, as we saw recently, a 3-judge panel overturned that and disregarded the voice of the people. So Alliance Defending Freedom last week asked the court to issue an order to put that decision on hold, to put the effect of that decision on hold until the United States Supreme Court hears and reviews it, because in the Windsor decision, which was the big federal marriage case, the Supreme Court clearly stated that the states have the right to define marriage for themselves, which is exactly what the people in Virginia did. So if the Supreme Court follows their own rationale in that opinion, that marriage amendment should stand. So we're just asking, in the meantime, for the effect of the 3-judge overturning the voice of the people just to be put on hold until the Supreme Court sorts it out.
Kelly, it seems like from California on the West Coast all the way to Virginia on the East Coast, the American people have spoken out with common sense. They've spoken out with a religious virtue, I think, in regards to marriage being between a man and a woman in huge majority numbers, but yet the gay, lesbian alliance and transgenders, they keep plugging away. They keep kicking everything while it's down, or up, if you will, and they keep trying to overturn everything. Why do they get listened to when they're in minority numbers, and why do the courts give them credence?
It's really hard to say, especially like you said, when overwhelmingly in state after state, Americans have voted to affirm the truth of marriage, which is that it's a one-man, one-woman union, and there are many good reasons for that. And Americans have done so in the proper legislative channels. This is how our government has set things out with these constitutional amendments, and it's deeply disturbing that these single judges and that these 3-judge panels have just completely rejected the voice of the people, the millions of Americans who have voted to affirm this truth. It's very disturbing.
You know, you've been busy. I mean, you being and defined as the Alliance Defending Freedom, I noticed that you're having a record year defending freedom across the board at America's universities. Give us some examples as to where you are and who you're fighting for.
Well, public universities, like we always say, should encourage and not shut down the free exchange of ideas. That's the whole reason that colleges and universities really exist in the first place, for debate, for discourse. This is how people learn. And so Alliance Defending Freedom is very committed to making sure that students are able to speak freely on campus. And so we're grateful to report that, like you said, we are having a record year. For instance, we initiated a letter writing campaign in 2012 in which we contacted universities and colleges that had unconstitutional speech policies. I'm happy to report that we've had bad policies changed for the benefit of more than 4.5 million students across 25 states to date, which is very exciting. That's one thing. Another great victory we had was at a Virginia community college. I think I spoke about it on your show in the past. Mm-hmm. Christian Parks was a student sharing stuff from the Bible on campus, and the community college had attempted to shut him down. We litigated that, or we settled that case, and as a result, over 23 campuses in the Virginia Community College system changed their speech policies to not only let students like Christian Park speak, but all students. And colleges and universities should encourage student speech and not be hostile towards it. And another case, which I've talked about on your show, was with Professor Mike Adams at University of North Carolina at Wilmington. This is huge. I mean, this university for years had blatantly discriminated against Dr. Adams for being both conservative and a Christian. And this past March, won a huge victory there, that where a jury found that, in fact, the school had done that, awarded him back pay, awarded him a full professorship. And this case holds precedent, has effect for all faculty across the United States. So we're very excited about how our university cases are going.
You know, Carrie, when I sit and think about it, though, it's a shame, really, that we need to have the Alliance Defending Freedom jump in and talk about universities trying to stifle speech codes or speech zones. In America, this should be taught in the schools as part of our constitutional values. That says to me that we're not doing the job in our education centers to let people know about our freedoms. Am I wrong?
No, I agree. I say the same thing. It's so maddening that we have to fight for students to be able to freely speak on the campuses of colleges and universities, of all things. It's not only unconstitutional, it seems counterintuitive, and it just lacks common sense completely. And that's why Alliance Defending Freedom, we're continuing to remain vigilant, to advocate for students on campus who are at a school where the university officials are hostile to them speaking, and we're committed to supporting and advocating for their First Amendment rights.
One of the issues that I know ADF's been involved in, and I want you to elaborate on it a little bit because it really incites me to where my anger level goes to on a 1 to 10 scale, about a 30. The rules that force students to endorse views or encourage behavior they oppose in order to successfully complete an assignment. Boy, that's just coercion to get everybody to adopt a leftist attitude, and I'm glad to see that you're fighting against that.
Mm-hmm. We are. And there was a movie that came out this past year called God's Not Dead that really highlighted, I don't know if you saw it, but highlighted a situation just like that. And what was exciting was at the end of this movie, in which, it's exactly what you just said. There was a student in class, and it was fictional, but based off true stories. There was a student in that class who, in order to, get a certain grade, he was supposed to, say God's not dead, and so it's a very interesting movie. And obviously, at the end, that isn't the case. But what was very exciting was that at the end, there in the credits, they listed all the Alliance Defending Freedom cases that have been successful or in fighting for the free speech rights of students and speaking to what you're just saying. So it's encouraging to know that while these unfortunate things do happen, we are here to help, and we're committed to protecting the speech rights of students across the country.
Let's wrap things up here this morning by talking about a Washington pharmacist case to where basically they didn't want to supply certain drugs that was in violation of their religious convictions, and they basically said, I'm sorry, but we don't want to handle that at this store, but if you'll go to so-and-so, maybe they can help you. But boy, that opened up a can of worms. Talk about that if you would, please.
Yes, and all Americans, like I always say, all Americans should be able to live and work according to their beliefs without the threat of the government coming in and punishing them otherwise. No American should have to choose between their deepest religious convictions or their job. And unfortunately, that's what we see here. In 2007, Washington State passed regulations mandating that pharmacists stock and provide morning after pills and Plan B and Ella, which can prevent the destruction of a fertilized egg. So it prevents the implantation. So, that's for many people, and understandably so. And so after doing some research, Kevin Stormans, who owns this local supermarket / pharmacy, it's called Ralph's Thriftway. This family has owned this store for 4 generations. He did some research. He saw that's what those pills do, and he said, according to his conscience, according to his faith, he could not distribute those. And then that launched this 7-year, basically litigation battle, where he has been fighting against the government of Washington, who's been trying to make him provide these things. And what happened was, a couple of years ago, the court actually issued an order saying that those regulations could not be enforced against this family and against any pharmacist who had a moral conviction against it. And now the Ninth Circuit has asked Alliance Defending Freedom and the other organizations representing these pharmacists to file a brief explaining the effect of Hobby Lobby and how Hobby Lobby affects the current state of things in Washington State. And clearly, Hobby Lobby Conestoga was very clear in saying that, a person, an organization, a business should not have to choose between violating their faith and their job. So we're confident that the Ninth Circuit will agree with this, and hopefully these regulations will come down once and for all.
I tell you, this lady is a very sharp young lady. Legal Communications Director for the Alliance Defending Freedom, Carrie Kupak. And Carrie, tell everybody how they can follow these cases with Alliance Defending Freedom.
They can go to alliancedefendingfreedom.org or adfmedia.org.
Well, we'll look for you on the big screen television, hopefully in the future. You do a great job on my program. I'm proud to have you. Thanks, Carrie. God bless.
Thanks, Deb.
Take care. Thank you so much. What a nice young lady, and very proud to have her on the show regarding Alliance Defending Freedom. Very, very good at explaining what's going on. Carrie Kupak with the Alliance Defending Freedom as the Legal Communications Director. Thank you very much. Holy smokes, we got to have a weather forecast, and it's cloudy out there. Man, oh man, and we're supposed to get some moisture, and the weather this hour is brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse. 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls with our old buddy Reese Whitmire. Oh my, they're your outdoor adventure partner at Sportsman's Warehouse. They've got everything in there. All your hunting, fishing, archery, camping, boating, ATV material, electronics, knives, you name it, it's there at Sportsman's Warehouse with friendly experts, and they can tell you all about it. At Sportsman's Warehouse in Twin, right now here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Hey everyone, Michael Rogers with Zeb at the Ranch. You've got rain in your forecast. You've got a flash flood watch. It's going to be in effect from noon until tomorrow at 9 p.m. 2 words to give you a reason why this is happening, and it's called slow moving. You've got a slow moving storm. So be advised, this is what you're going to be going through for the next couple of days. You'll come out of it on Wednesday as you work your way toward the later portion of the week. Things are going to get a little bit better, but you're going to walk right back into showers on Thursday. and a possible thunderstorm on Friday. Other than that, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
There you go. Michael Rogers, weather.com. Brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. They are quality people, quality gear that gives you the edge to perform well and enjoy the journey outdoors. Sportsman's Warehouse. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about for the remainder of this hour, so give me a jingle. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, I want to talk to you about furniture. I want to talk to you about comfort. I want to talk to you about the beautification of your home. I want to talk about Flex Steel furniture from Lee's Furniture Floors and more. They've got a factory-authorized sale going on right now. On Flex Steel occasional tables, your choice, just $3.99. And they've got power rocker recliners at just $7.99. And they've got the great big Thornton sofas at just $12.99. Wow. And I'm telling you what, they have comfort and beauty for your home. Stop in and see them today, and they got all the carpet. They've got all the floor coverings. They've got everything, and knowledgeable people to boot. They really have it all at Lee's Furniture Floors and more. At 459 Overland and Burley, you stop in and see Lee's Furniture today. Really, really nice people. All right, your calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hey, Gina, I've got a question for you. You follow the news quite a bit, too, don't you?
I try and follow as much as I can.
You remember who Marion Barry was?
Oh, yeah.
The former Washington, D.C. mayor. Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
The old crack smoker. And he had like 37 hookers in his limo.
Uh-huh.
Well, did you hear what happened to poor old Marion Barry?
Oh, did he get busted again?
Well, you know, I mean, things happen, and he was going the wrong way on a one-way, and they said that he was having a hypoglycemic attack.
Uh-huh.
You're like me. You're very cynical.
He was having a hypoglycemic attack, and so that's why he was going the wrong way down a one-way.
You know, let me ask you something, and you've seen this happen time and time again. Why? People like Marion Barry or anybody, Charlie Rangel, the guy's a crook. Why do people put them back in office so that they're basically going to get a chance to mismanage public funds again?
Probably because it's a name that they recognize and they don't know any better.
But here's old Marion Barry. I thought the guy's career was a dead horse, kind of like in The Godfather, the head in the bed.
Uh-huh.
And now he gets back into politics. He's a city councilman and everything else. And he gets picked up. Oh, well, listen, it wasn't what you think it was. Even though it was like at 2 or 3 in the morning, it was a hypoglycemic attack. That's what happened.
I don't buy that at all, period.
What would happen if it were you or I on the second, third, fourth, or more attempt? We'd be in jail.
We would be in jail.
And you and I, we don't have a spokesman that's going to get up in front of the news and say, well, I'm sorry, in regards to Gina Jameson and or Zeb Bell, it was nothing more than just a hypoglycemic attack.
Gosh, I wish I could use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great?
Well, I'm just, being in the public eye is, and I know these people, whether they're actors or whether they're politicians, isn't it a shame that we've got so much sleaze and so much dirt involved in leadership in this country?
I know. It is. It's really, really disgusting. And then I think if Marion Barry really does get reelected again, I think his constituents really need to wake up and do their research on the candidates before they actually cast a vote just on the name recognition portion of it.
Well, what about Charlie Rangel? There's a classic case of a guy that should have been turned out to pasture a long time ago.
Agreed. And I think, honestly, it just all boils down to name recognition. The voters aren't really doing their homework. So when they go to the polls, they're just like, oh, well, I think I voted for this guy last time, so I'm going to vote for him again.
I was going to ask you too. I didn't get a chance to ask you last hour, but and this sounds a little tacky on my part to say and drop names, etc. But I've worked with, on occasion, some of the Hollywood types in various movies, etc. And so I do know some of them, and some fairly big names in the Hollywood industry. And I mentioned first hour about John Voight, and you know what? I absolutely salute him for basically saying, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead, when he criticized Hollywood and said that they should hang their heads in shame. I respect him for that.
Honestly, I think that Hollywood should hang their head in shame, because I don't think that Hollywood is actually portraying what America should be seeing at this particular point in time.
Well, not only that, but when they came out and they condemned Israel, and there were a lot of these actors that blatantly defended Hamas as a terrorist organization, and they condemned Israel, and they don't know the whole story. They don't know about Israel, its inception. They don't know about our best ally in that region, and these idiots that call themselves actors and actresses were really criticized by John Voight, and I say, go get him, John. Way to go.
Yeah, and actually I just pulled that up. He's criticizing these Hollywood elites for basically anti-Semitism, and he's saying, you guys everybody should hang their head in shame if you're going to be, promoting something like this.
It's just too bad that industry doesn't have, like it used to, the Jimmy Stewarts, bomber pilot in World War II, the great John Wayne, and many, many more that have served this country and served it well, and they don't have the respect. And by the way, I did a little research on something. I want to give this to you real quick.
Okay, all right.
All right, unless you get a call coming in or something. No. I'm going to mention some names, and I want you to tell me if you recognize the names. Robert Mitchum.
No.
Big actor back in the 50s and early 60s.
Okay.
How about Paul Newman?
Oh, yes.
Served in the United States Navy as a rear seat gunner and radio man.
Well, I did not know that.
How about Forrest Tucker?
Nope.
You don't remember him? Remember the television series F Troop?
Yes.
That's it. He was in it.
All right.
Remember Larry Storch that played kind of the wayward corporal on F Troop?
I do believe so, yes.
All right. He was the U.S. Navy subtender. Remember Tony Curtis?
Oh, yes.
United States Navy on the USS Proteus. How about Ernest Borgnine? Remember him?
Everybody remembers good old Ernest Borgnine.
He was a gunner's mate. James Stewart, bomber pilot. Sterling Hayden, United States Marine. And how about this one? A lot of people don't realize this. Jonathan Winters.
Wow.
United States Marine Corps.
I'm typing in just to see if I can find it, because obviously we're on Hollywood actors now. So how many of today's current Hollywood actors have served or is currently serving?
Now that's a good question I can't answer, but now you remember the television series Gunsmoke?
Yes.
All right, you remember James Arness?
Yes.
All right, he was Matt Dillon. A lot of people don't know, you remember in the latter stages of the career of Gunsmoke, James Arness walked with a very pronounced limp. And a lot of people asked him what happened. Well, the truth is he didn't want to talk about it, but did you know that James Arness served in the United States Army as an infantryman and was severely wounded at Anzio in Italy, and that's why he walked with such a severe limp in the latter stages of his career on Gunsmoke.
I did not know that.
Yep. And remember Jack Klugman from The Odd Couple? Served in the United States Army.
Wow.
Yep. And Gene Autry, United States Army Air Corps. He was a crewman on transports.
We got Al calling in.
All right. Al, go ahead. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I haven't heard you mention Audie Murphy, one of the highest decorated soldiers we got.
I haven't got that far.
Well, up there, big boy.
Okay. Thanks, Al. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Them stars that served in the military. More power to him.
You remember the show The Rifleman with Chuck Connors?
Yep.
A lot of people don't remember that he served in the United States Army, and you know what he did? He was a tank warfare instructor.
Yep.
And there's so many people in Hollywood that served our country. Brian Keith, Fess Parker, Hugh O'Brien from Wyatt Earp, Clark Gable, Charles Bronson, many, many more. And Gina brought up an excellent point a minute ago. It would be interesting to see who in Hollywood has served in the last 30 years. Let's see if we can't find that list.
I think you can count them on half of your right hand.
I believe you're right. Thanks, Al. God bless. Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, Gina, I just brought this up because I was doing a little research on this a couple of weeks ago, and remember Tom Bosley from Happy Days?
Oh, yeah.
There's another one, served in the United States Navy, and as a matter of fact, he served on the same ship as my neighbor that used to live up the road from me 2 miles, Dale Peterson.
Really?
From right here in Murtaugh.
Wow.
Yep. Anyway, I just wanted to run that by you. I've got to pay some bills here real quick. Pardon me for getting long-winded.
No, that's okay.
Oh, my goodness. We got to tell everybody about some of the Burley merchants that are supporting the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo, like Kelly's Bearings, 1407 East Main Street in Burley. My goodness, they've got everything on hand, so you don't have to waste your time and money running all over for bearings, chains, and brackets. You'll know where you are when you get your bearings at Kelly's on Main Street in Burley. K&R Rental, 256A South, 600 west of Hayburn. K&R Rental, locally owned and operated, from air compressors, pivots, tractors for landscaping, lawn and garden equipment. They've got it all at K&R Rental, West Hayburn, 678-3122. And last but not least, Magic Valley Irrigation, 44 East, 500 south of Burley. Magic Valley Irrigation, offering irrigation system service and repair to Burley since 1978. They are great. They've got specialists to serve you. 678-3101, Magic Valley Irrigation, south of Burley. Better believe it, we'll have more right after the news in about 6 minutes. Don't go away. Oh, welcome back, Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday. Kind of a cloudy day out there, calling for some moisture, and heads up on those flash flood warnings, too. Hey, by the way, we're brought to you by our corporate sponsor, all the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Thank you very much. Along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Get rid of your garbage. 734-6969. We're going to have our guest with us on the program in just a moment, but stand by. I want to remind you, too, about the Chadwick Sports Grill. You want to have a great lunch? We'll stop into the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley today. Listen to the menu highlighted today with the pineapple and ginger chicken stir fry, served over rice with vegetables and super salad for just $8.95. I mean, run, don't walk, run. Pineapple and ginger chicken stir fry sounding good at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Hey, by the way, also on Thursdays, I want to remind you we have a segment called School Days in Cassia County, and we want to highlight the fact that we have 2 wonderful sponsors, Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Don't forget they've got all the back-to-school clothes for you, and plus backpacks, and all the school clothes are arriving right now, so stop in at a Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And also the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Drive in Burley, with over 120 outpatient surgeries performed this last month at Ambulatory Surgery Center in Burley, saving patients hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Call them today. Find out more, 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and Child's World, bringing you School Days in Cassia County. Right now we're going to go to the phone lines, and we're going to be talking to the athletic director of the Valley School System. Good morning to Brian Hardy. Brian, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm ready to go eat lunch at Chadwick now.
Well, as long as you're going to buy, I'll just meet you there.
Okay.
All right. Brian Hardy, Athletic Director of Valley High School, and it seems like Valley High School District, along with many school districts, are suffering financially, and it looks like there's going to be a cutback to a 4-day school week. What are your thoughts as far as how is that going to affect not only the students in education, but also very possibly your athletic program?
Well, you know, anytime you make change, it's a big shock for people, and it takes a little adjusting. But we've kind of
really looked at this back in 2009 and did lots of surveys and contacted parents, teachers, community members, and really felt like we had the support to do it then, but kind of waited to watch what other people were doing and maybe take a little more cautious approach to see how it was working. And the feedback we got from the other schools is that they loved it. Student achievement hasn't seen a dip. I don't think there's a huge growth in there either, but as long as you're not harming the kids' education, I think it's something other schools are turning to, and that's kind of why we made the decision to do it this year. As far as our sports programs, we're pretty lucky here in the Magic Valley. Travel-wise, an hour is about our longest trip. It's different if you're from Chalice or Salmon or other places, and you have to make those long road trips. I think some of them looked at taking a day off there and playing some of their ball games on those days is a great way to travel and not miss instructional time. But we're pretty fortunate. I don't see it disrupting or changing anything really athletic-wise for our school.
Brian, when you look at the overall picture, finances are the number one problem for any and all school districts. I don't care if it's big or small. And there's cutbacks. And right now, football programs, all athletic programs are expensive. How are you, as Valley School District Athletic Director, how are you looking at the future over the next year, 5 years, 10 years projection of keeping updated equipment and making sure the kids are playing with a safe environment?
Our approach has always been, for the last 25 years, before I even started as athletic director, the person before me, was to try to get on a schedule, a rotation, where you can budget that in and afford it year to year. And if you start skipping a year or trying to pin, cut corners and wait, then it seems like you have a year where something falls apart and you have all kinds of expenses all at one time. So I think if you plan and you budget that in and try to just have a maintenance program where you're always recycling through some of the old equipment or some of the things that you're going to need, it's easier to stay on top of it and plan.
When you look at a football program, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe, isn't this year the first year that Valley will be going to an 8-man football program? There's got to be some big transitions going to 8-man instead of 11.
Yeah, this is our first year. There again, some of my friends and people from other schools who've already made that transition, they were a good resource to go to and ask them how they dealt with it or what were the biggest obstacles or problems. And so I really leaned on them and asked a lot of questions. And we had a full year ahead of time. We knew this was going to take place, so we've educated our coaches and our students that this was going to take place. And our football coaches have by far put in the most time of anybody on our staff, as far as, basketball, volleyball, other sports, because they're the ones facing the biggest change. And they've really spent a lot of time on their own this past spring and summer, planning and writing it all down on paper, but you never know until you see it out there on the field what it turned out like.
Brian, when you make that decision as athletic director and the coaches, they all sit down to go from 11-man to 8-man, boy, that's a tough decision to make, isn't it? Because it's really going to affect the kids and their future as far as possible scholarships, etc., isn't it?
Yeah, it was a big decision, but we talked as a group that because of where our school enrollment was, it wasn't really a decision that we went out and chose to make. It was a decision we followed what the IHSAA has outlined based on our school enrollment. And when we found out our enrollment had been dropping, we've been one of the smallest 2A schools in the state for 3 or 4 years. And when we were finally under that cutoff line, some people choose to, fight it and try to put off, what's happening. But we looked at our enrollment figures and said, the best thing to do for our kids is to let them play at the level where they're supposed to play. And, that's a big step going from 11-man to 8-man. But overall, it's not just a football decision. It had to be a full, complete school decision and a full athletic program. But definitely football had the biggest impact as far as the changes that they're going to face.
Well, when you look at schools and education and the cutbacks in the weeks to going to a 4-day, and then the cutbacks in football programs from 11-man to 8-man football, etc., is this all the more a reason as to why more schools should be looking at consolidation, in your opinion?
And I know consolidation is a touchy topic, and I guess the Valley School District to me is an example of how it possibly works in some people's eyes. I know there's some that still maybe think that Eden and Hazleton have lost their identity, but in 1953, those two towns joined together, and Valley was sitting on a county road in the middle of the two, and they had to pick over which side of the road to put it on, so Hazleton got the address, and Eden's probably always felt slighted ever since. But you know, I talked to people that went to school that first day, and they had a walkout at lunch, and the kids weren't getting along. But after some years, after time, you know, Valley's is kind of our community now, and people know us as that. And I think both towns still have, you know, their individual uniqueness, but they cooperate and work together. That, you know, we just feel like out here we're Valley now. And some people like that, but other people, you know, say, well, Eden and Hazleton have lost their identity. But to me, it works for us. And, you know, I went to school here, and my kids go to school here, and I feel like it's a great community and place to be.
What about, like, the situation, Brian, with Hanson and Murtaugh on a commingling of their football programs, but still staying separate with their basketball programs and girls' sports like volleyball, etc.? Do you see in the future that they'll have to commingle all sporting events?
You know, I don't know if they'll ever have to. Maybe your hands get tied so much that the decision's almost made for you. I know some other schools in Idaho. Tri-Valley is the sports program for Cambridge and Midvale, and I think they've made it work, a successful change for them. It's been good for the kids to still compete and have those opportunities. So I think that's a model that other schools will probably look at, and Murtaugh Hanson may look at. Has it been a success for football, and can that carry over to our other programs? And they may choose to do that down the road.
Well, now, correct me if I'm wrong, but some of the schools that have already gone to a 4-day school week are including Gooding, Hanson, Wendell, I'm trying to think, Shoshone, Bliss, and Richfield, I think. But they are going on an operational schedule of Monday through Thursday, but you at Valley School District, you're going to go Tuesday through Friday. Why did you decide to go Tuesday through Friday instead of Monday through Thursday like some of the others?
A couple reasons were the main factors, and then we talked to some people, and I really don't know that it will make a big difference down the road once people get adjusted to the schedule. But probably number one was to try to have consistency with our schedule for parents throughout the year. And when you have holidays falling on Mondays, some school districts then who normally go Monday through Thursday, they will change to a Tuesday through Friday for that week only. Some of them will keep their Friday off and just do 3 days that week. And we felt just to stay consistent, if we went Tuesday through Friday, the only conflict we have all year long is we are going to go on Mondays before Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. But other than that, our schedule is consistent, Tuesday through Friday.
Okay.
I thought that was a big plus for parents to be able to plan. And also, we're going to encourage our staff and our students to have all their appointments they need, dentist, eye doctor, whatever, on our day off. And some of those doctor's offices are closed on Fridays.
That's right.
And so we thought Monday would be a better chance for them to get an appointment and get in there and get that taken care of. So we chose that for those two main reasons.
Okay. Now, Brian, I want to talk a little bit more about sports, and as an athletic director, you've got to look at all these things. Money, as I said earlier in our conversation, is hard to come by. Do you anticipate that there's going to be, whether it's a big school like Twin Falls or whether it's going to be a small school now, 8-man football like Valley, there's going to have to be more participation with sponsorships and sponsor money to put a team on the court or the field?
I don't know. I guess there's that business model. You have two ways. You can either cut costs
or you can try to increase revenue. And I think probably most schools have looked at every angle, every way they can to cut costs. So that leaves you with the other option. And we have a few major businesses around and a few smaller ones in our area, but you have to get to get advertisements and things like that. It seems like those people get hit up all the time, and they already support our school in a variety of ways. So we don't want to keep asking for more from people who have always been supportive and done everything they can to help us out. So then you have to start going into the bigger communities of either Twin Falls or Burley or Jerome. And, some of those businesses do, recognize that there's people in our area that do business with them, and other ones are kind of hesitant because that's not their main school. But we really try to come up with other ways instead of depending on, local businesses or sponsorships for revenue. Mm-hmm. So it is going to be a problem that people will face in the future, though.
Well, let's go into one other aspect of that, and it's a touchy subject on a lot of parents' minds. I'm against it personally, but that's the pay-to-play attitude that has permeated itself in many states, i.e. Oklahoma, Illinois, and other schools have started a pay-to-play where the parents are going to foot the bill. Is that something that you're going to have to look at in the future?
I really applaud our school board and our leadership from our superintendent and principals, because we've stayed away from that. And we've decided that if it's an opportunity that the school wants to give the students, then we should find a way to make that a possibility without asking parents and students to pay for it themselves. I have nothing against club activities or club sports, but when you get into that pay-to-play atmosphere, it's different. We run an education-based sports program, and that's what the IHSA or any high school in Idaho will tell you is that the model of education-based sports is different. You are still every single day trying to instill teamwork and cooperation and some of the values that sports teach you, and it's not just about who can cough up the money and win at all costs. It's still about learning those life lessons and the competition. And of course, if you win along the way, it's fun and it's great and you celebrate, but there's so many other lessons it can teach you that I think the education-based sports model is the one we want to stick with as long as we can.
You touched on it right there, an answer to a question I haven't yet asked, and I really do appreciate your comments. But, there are many people today that are stressing education. Put those kids in that school at 7 in the morning and make them sit at that desk and learn. And they don't have time for extracurricular activities, etc. And I say bunk. You've got to have a well-rounded individual. You've got to have a person that can know and respect team play and understand how to play to win, but yet play graciously and lose. And I think that's what sports teaches in the school system. I'd like your remarks further on that.
I completely agree. It's hard to quantify everything you get out of a dollar spent on your athletic programs. But in my master's program classes, one of the superintendents who was a teacher, he said, sports is the cheapest at-risk program we can offer. And you think of all the money that's soaked into after-school programs and for at-risk kids and things like that. If we could just get them involved and get them out for a cross-country team or a volleyball or a football team, we can reach those kids and affect them in ways that might keep them in school, might help their grades improve, where they feel a part of something bigger. Maybe they've never had that experience where they have their family and that's it. They don't have a lot of friends or a lot of people to join in and feel a part of something. And I think that's what sports offers. If you can get kids to feel they're a part of something bigger and learn how to work in that, maybe sometimes they're the star, maybe sometimes they're just a piece of the puzzle that doesn't get a lot of recognition, but they still are important to the group. you can make a big difference with kids if you can get them involved.
Absolutely. One final thought, as you look at every year, every 5 years, every 10 years in our nation's history, we've seen peaks and valleys, and perhaps we're going through a valley, no pun intended, right now in this country with the lack of resources, a lack of operational expense money, etc. But what about the future? Are you optimistic for the future?
It depends on day to day. Right now, the school year's just started. I'm fresh. I'm ready to go. Yeah, I am. But I have to be honest, there's times when you look at the direction where things are headed and you just think, this is not what it was like, obviously, in my parents' generation or even in my generation, and it changes. But sometimes it changes for the better, and I think as long as we have, good people going into the fields of education who care about their community and their kids, and they can have some great ideas to make those changes for the better. So you're asking me today, you bet I'm optimistic, and I think the future has some great opportunities.
All right, we've got a caller with a quick question, Brian. Stay on the line. Go ahead, caller, fast. I've only got 2 minutes left.
Okay. Are the teachers going to take less pay because they're going to work a less day? When I went to school, it took so many hours to learn things. Why don't they go an extra hour for 4 days a week, and that'll make up the difference?
All right, I'm going to have Brian explain. I'm going to have Brian explain that on the air. I believe, Brian, tell me if I'm wrong, I believe the school day is going to be almost an hour longer, 45 minutes longer. Is that not right?
That was actually in the newspaper was a misprint. It's an hour and 15 minutes longer.
Okay.
And so we looked at our total hours for the year. That's the state requirement. High schools have to go 990 hours required by the state. And we exceeded that. We were around 1,040 because you have to plan for some snow days or some emergency closures, things like that.
Right.
And then middle school and elementary cuts back. You don't have to go as many hours, but we do because we're all in one building and we keep it the same. And so we are going to go the exact same number of hours for the school year that we did before. It's just in a different schedule.
Final thought I've got to ask you this, Brian, and I'm very concerned about your family. I understand that you married into a family of Vandal fans. Has that been a positive or a negative for you?
Well, when I first started dating these Vandals, or the one Vandal, I wasn't real sure about it. It's up north, it's a long ways away, but the more they drug me to games and got me involved, I went to school there myself and loved it. So they have converted me. I'm a Vandal too, and it's a great place to go to school, and it carries on after school. You have that fraternity or the group of friends you had up there, and I'm glad I did.
I got to tell you something. You ought to be a politician because you handled that just right. I think you're going to still be invited to Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, that's good. I like my mother-in-law's cooking.
All right. Brian Hardy, Athletic Director at Valley Schools. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being on the air this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. He's got a wonderful family, too. Each and every one of them really, really nice people. Hey, you know what's coming up next week also? The Gooding County Fair and Pro Rodeo, Monday the 11th all the way through Saturday the 16th. And, boy, they've got all kinds of goodies planned for you over in Gooding. I'll tell you, there is this community that just gets really involved. You drive into Gooding, and they've got those great big wooden bulls on every street corner in front of every business. I mean, they are ready for the Gooding County Fair and Rodeo. Monday the 11th, they're going to have the entries open for the open classes. And then, of course, the whole thing takes under effect on Tuesday the 12th. And then they go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They've got the Pro Rodeo. They've got all kinds of great music and entertainment. All kinds of fun for you and the entire family at the Gooding County Fair and Rodeo next week, Monday the 11th through Saturday the 16th. Don't miss it. All come to Gooding for the Gooding County Fair and Pro Rodeo. They have a good time over there in Gooding, let me tell you. I had the honor of announcing that rodeo many, many years. I think I was there for 16, 17 years or something like that, and really nice people up there. Let's see what else have we got cooking here before we send it back over to Gina. I think we'll send it over a little bit early, and then coming up next half hour, we've got with the Institute of Energy Research, the Director of State and Regulatory Affairs, Daniel Simmons, and we're going to be talking about electricity or the lack of. Don't go away. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much. Welcome back to our last half hour. And before we go any further, I want to remind everybody about some more of those Burley merchants supporting the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo coming up next week. You better believe it, including Pacific Steel and Recycling at 320 West Main in Burley, 678-2321. If farmers have old implements and they want to get rid of them, get them out of your yard, call Pacific Steel at 678-2321, and they'll come out and get them for you. That's right, and they'll also take all your old and used appliances, computers, etc. Great people to work with, Pacific Steel and Recycling. Along with some other great folks, Pickett Equipment Company at 976 East Main Street in Burley. From the Twin Master Edible Bean Combine, Double Master plus Side Pull Combine, they've got it all, the best in bean equipment. Pickett Equipment at 678-0855 in Burley. Really good folks. Let's go to the phone lines right now, and with us on the phone is the Director of State and Regulatory Affairs for the Institute of Energy Research, and we say good morning to Daniel Simmons. Good morning, Daniel. How you doing?
Good morning, Zeb. Doing well.
Daniel, you and I, we get on the program, and sometimes it's like throwing rocks in the water. You can see it just for a second, and then all of a sudden, the bubbles and everything are gone, and it disappears probably forever. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen to our electricity program, because we don't have anything that's going to replace 40% of our power when they get rid of coal, and the solar and the wind is not going to do the job. So how are we going to keep warm next winter, my friend?
Well, luckily the plants will not close that fast by next winter, but in coming winters they will. And what the Obama administration is trying to do, as you said, is to essentially end the use of coal in the U.S. And as you said, they use 40% of our electricity generation comes from coal, and this is a real problem. Just this morning, I read a news story out of England where they don't use nearly as much coal as they used to. Instead, they're trying to switch to renewables. And right now, there's a debate going on in England about, well, hey, how do we subsidize these energy-intensive manufacturers? And how do we pick and choose? Because, electricity rates are really high. Well, hey, knuckleheads, I've got a really good idea. Why not use your natural resources? Why not use what you have to drive down electricity prices instead of trying to switch over to, these renewables that don't work all the time, like wind and solar, that jack up your electricity rates, and then you have to then have subsidies for certain industries and not others, while you watch manufacturers leave your country for greener pastures. It is absolutely crazy what's happening in the UK and other countries, and that is going to happen here.
Daniel, I don't think, now you're the expert, but I don't think the general public, I don't think that Hollywood, I don't think the news media, I don't think the powers that be really understand, whether it's in 5-year increments or whether it's overnight, that they're not going to be able to plug their cars in, that they're not going to be able to have certain things like football games with the bright lights, etc. I don't think they understand how serious this situation is.
Well, and what's actually worse than that? I don't necessarily have a problem with the general public not knowing about it yet. The general public shouldn't have to, because one of the great things about electricity since the very beginning is that we had enough electricity, the prices were decent, and that meant we could just keep using electricity. That's a good thing, because people don't just use electricity for the heck of it. They use it because it makes their lives better, it makes their businesses run. That's why we use electricity. But now we have to start looking at it even closer. One of the real problems that we have is that under the Obama administration, a whole number of things that in the past haven't been necessarily political have been made much more political. And one of them is a group called FERC, the Federal Electricity Regulatory Commission. And one of the things, they just had a hearing in Washington a week and a half ago, and they asked the commissioners of FERC, hey, what about, what about, grid reliability? What about keeping the lights on? And essentially, they didn't have that much to say, and this is one of the real problems. I mean, it's okay when the general public doesn't know this, but when our not elected, but when some of our important regulatory officials just take this, this laissez-faire approach to all the regulatory hurdles that the Obama administration is throwing in the way, as opposed to standing up and saying, hey, we want to keep the lights on, then it's a real problem. And the reason that they don't stand up is because they're with the Obama administration that, and trying to switch over to renewables in just a few years. It's craziness.
Okay, it may be craziness, but it's also almost criminal. You can tie that word right next to the craziness. It's criminal what they're going to be doing. We're going to be seeing, and this is my opinion, you can tell me I'm wrong, but we're going to be seeing power rationing on a per area basis, I believe. And we're going to see some areas absolutely not get adequate rationing so that people can heat their homes, or people might be able to turn on their ovens, and that senior citizens with a fixed budget might not be able to afford power whatsoever. The rich will get power, the poor are going to freeze. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm looking at this as very negative, and I damn the Obama administration for putting us in this position.
Well, and even if there isn't rationing, the way that it will be rationed is through much higher prices. For example, today the average price of electricity in Idaho is just over 9.64 cents per kilowatt hour.
Right.
That is the second lowest in the country. Why does Idaho have low electricity rates? Because of existing hydroelectric dams. Also, there's nearby coal. So, it's in a sweet spot. But if you look at the places around the country where the Obama administration points to and the way that they want us to move towards, you look at places like the state of New York. New York has electricity rates that are 20 cents a kilowatt hour. Next door, Connecticut, just over 20 cents a kilowatt hour. It is more than double the price of electricity in a place like New York and Connecticut. Is there any reason they should have is there any reason that they should have high electricity rates? No. In fact, they have higher electricity rates than Alaska. Just think about that. Alaska, where, people live Alaska is a huge place. It makes sense why electricity rates should be higher there, as opposed to a place like New York, where you have all of the hydro from Canada, you have, coal resources from around the country. You have a heck of a lot of ways to generate electricity in New York. But you know what? They're saying we don't want those. We want to move to renewables, and people are already starting to pay the price. So, just imagine if everyone in Idaho, if all your listeners' electric bills were to just plain double. And that is what, that's the sort of thing that we're talking about. Going from 9.6 cents a kilowatt hour to over 20 cents a kilowatt hour in places like New York, and that is the future unless the Obama administration can be slowed down.
All right, now, if the Obama administration can be slowed down, we are looking at a devastation within this administration, scandal after scandal after scandal, with a man that is so amateurish. He should have never been elected president in the first place. He has no clue as to what's going on. He has no clue as to what makes America great. He has no clue how to keep a business going and growing. Can we turn this thing around? Can somebody shed some light on this guy, or are we all going to be in darkness in 2 years?
What is really hard is that the Obama administration has had, very little success when it comes to advancing legislation that they want. They had one very large and very notable success with Obamacare, and the way they got that passed poisoned the well, so thoroughly that they haven't been able to do anything else. And that's, for better or worse, that's the way it is. So what they're doing is they're going after everything else through regulation. And what is, the good news and the bad news is that the regulatory state moves very slowly. So even though, the current regulation that will regulate carbon dioxide emissions from existing power plants will be phased in over time, and there will be lawsuits. And what matters is that the Obama administration can do everything they can, but because of lawsuits, which hopefully the good guys will win, it could erase what the Obama administration is doing. But the way that it becomes much more likely to win those lawsuits is if there is public support, if there's public outcry that electricity rates are going to go up, that energy prices are going to go up. I mean, the public has to be saying that, as well as our elected officials have to be saying that, and then it becomes more likely for judges to say, oh, this law is a bad law if they see that everyone else is against it.
Yeah, but it's not. I just don't want to point the finger at the Obama administration, as much as I detest this administration, but we've also got a very insidious bunch of punks and thugs in the EPA with all their stupid, slimy regulations that are out to slow down and stop business or any advancement of progress in this country. What about the EPA? I think they all ought to be thrown in the ocean.
Well, that is it is EPA that are the ones that are pushing forth these regulations, and EPA will be sued over the carbon dioxide regulations for power plants. But you know what? The problem is that because the name environmental is in the name of EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, and who doesn't want environmental protection? Because of that, the vast majority of people, or at least the majority of people, just support EPA, out of hand without actually thinking about it. So one of the things is that, EPA's true agenda has to be told. People have to truly understand that EPA anymore is not really about it's not about protecting the environment. It's about protecting employment for people that work at EPA. It's about advancing a hardcore environmental agenda that really doesn't care about economic growth and jobs. If you look at what the things that people care about, you look at opinion polls, the number one, the thing that people care about is about jobs and the economy. That isn't to say that they don't think that the environment is important. Everybody thinks the environment is important. But you know what? You need a job before you can care about anything else. And that's what the American people understand. And that's what the Obama administration and EPA do not understand at all.
Let me ask you one final thought here this morning, Daniel, before I let you go. But there have been so many radical ideas as to what the Obama administration, and the EPA want to do, including carbon cards and everything else. How radical, as much of a lame duck administration this is now, how radical do you think they can or will get in the next 2 years? Even though they're involved in so many scandals, news-wise, it's going to be hard for them to push anything, isn't it?
It will be. I mean, they will do regulatorily, as they will go absolutely as far as they can. That is what they have demonstrated. As much as they think they can get away with. And one of the only things holding them back is that they realize that if their brand of lawlessness, how they choose not to enforce laws that they don't really like, whether it's about immigration or whatever else, they know that a later administration could come along and do those things. So hopefully there are some Democrats that are going to stand up to the president and that are going to say, look, this stuff is crazy. You guys have to follow the law. I mean, just that simple. Because otherwise they are completely unhinged from what the law is, and they want to remake the America into whatever their image is, as opposed to the image that we hold dear, where where law matters, where you have to you need to stand up for yourself, as opposed to having the government come in and coddle you.
Well, one final thought right there. You touched on it. I want you to elaborate on it a little bit. When you take like West Virginia and Joe Manchin and others of coal states, why aren't they standing out there with pitchforks and burning roots in their hands saying, Obama, no, we're not going to get rid of this industry? Why aren't they saying and doing more?
That is a really good question. I think it's starting to happen a bit more lately, but one of the problems is that a lot of these people that really seem that they that they should get it a bit better, whether it's Manchin or whoever, but they seem to secretly agree with the president. They just, and that's the problem. They don't admit it. I don't know if Manchin necessarily agrees with the president on all that much stuff, but there's a number of things where he does. And so, I don't know. I'm just very dejected and depressed at how little pushback the president has gotten from wiser members of his own party who really need to stand up and say, look, this guy's policies, the policies of the Obama administration, is destructive to America. It's destructive to economic growth and for everything that essentially that we hold dear. And I think that will happen over time, and it should happen sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. Daniel, I always enjoy having you on the program. I know it was kind of a spur of the moment this morning, and I appreciate your effort. Daniel Simmons, Institute of Energy Research, Director of the State and Regulatory Affairs. God bless you, my friend, and come back soon. Thank you.
Bless you, Zeb. Have a great day.
All right, sir. Thank you much. Very interesting and informative young man, Daniel Simmons, and he's got a good job, Director of State and Regulatory Affairs, Institute of Energy Research, talking about electricity or the lack of. Hey, it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you this hour by our dear friends at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. Don Scarrow, the rest of the folks, locally owned custom meat processor for over 20 years. Delicious meat. Oh my goodness, you got to try that marinated tri-tip for any occasion. Oh, it is fantastic. You give them a call or stop over and they can help you. Don't forget, Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, and right now here is Michael Rogers weather.
Hey everyone, Michael Rogers is at the ranch. You've got rain in your forecast. You've got a flash flood watch. It's going to be in effect from noon until tomorrow at 9 p.m. 2 words to give you a reason why this is happening, and it's called slow moving. You've got a slow moving storm. So be advised, this is what you're going to be going through for the next couple of days. When you come out of it on Wednesday, as you work your way toward the later portion of the week, things are going to get a little bit better, but you're going to walk right back into showers on Thursday and a possible thunderstorm on Friday. Other than that, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you. Great weather forecast. MichaelRogersWeather.com. Appreciate him. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. They are selling taste one bite at a time. Really good, folks. Take some telephone calls right now, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget the Cache County Fair and Rodeo next week. Going to be a ripping good event, Monday all the way through Saturday, the 11th through the 16th. And they've got activities going on every single day, including lots of entertainment on the free stage gazebo. And, of course, all the carnival amusements. And, of course, they've got on Tuesday night, next week, the 12th, they've got the Chris Cagle concert. That is going to be phenomenal. And then Wednesday night, they've got team sorting at 7 p.m. in the Rodeo Arena. And then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the Great Big PRCA Rodeo, horse races, all kinds of great events for you to enjoy. The 2014 Cache County Fair and Rodeo. Don't you miss it. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Gina, Vandal fan that you are.
Yes.
Did you notice my little dig that I had last? You did.
I got a smile out of it too because he's converted.
You know what? Now here's the deal. I don't know if you read USA Today or not. But in a story that they had last Friday in the paper, USA Today, they named Boise State as a very strong possible team that might jump into the top 25 this year.
We'll see.
We will, because they got a brand new coach, Brian Harsin. Let me see. He was the coach, I believe. Help me. I'm trying to remember Arkansas State. I think he was the head coach there before he came up to Boise. And their first game is going to be against a Southeastern Conference powerhouse, and I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Okay. Ole Miss. And Ole Miss is predicted to have one of their best teams in a long time. Who's going to win that first game? Because it comes up in a matter of weeks on, I believe, August 28th.
I'm going to go with Ole Miss. I'm sorry, I will never go with BSU, ever. I will always go for the opposing team.
Well, aren't you little Miss Vindictive this morning? You are a surly-faced Shirley Temple.
Ever vote. I will never root for Boise State. I don't care if they're in a bowl game or not. I just won't do it.
Did you hear what I called you?
What?
A surly-faced Shirley Temple.
Yes, I am, and you've got 2 phone calls.
Okay. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, sir, please.
I have a question. John Wayne, the movie person.
Yes.
My understanding, he was a draft dodger in the Second World War. Is that correct?
I'm not going to say he was a draft dodger, but he had bad knees. He had terribly bad knees from playing football at the University of Southern Cal, and I don't believe he was drafted because of his bad legs. I'm not going to go as far as to say anything like a draft dodger because he loved this country and proved it later on, but he had some bad knees from injuries from playing football at the University of Southern California.
Okay, I was misinformed then. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Back on this EPA and the electric power stuff.
Yes.
The way that I look at this, with this current administration of progressives and these president being this Marxist type, I think it's a matter of controlling the population. If they can control the electricity and start rationing, then they can tell people, you got to do what we say or you don't get no power.
Absolutely.
The way I see it. Now, hydroelectric power is the best power that I know of, and there's several places around this country where the Environmental Protection Agency has put the kibosh on development of hydroelectric power in favor of this stupid wind and solar stuff. And if I was the president, I would be developing hydropower like it was going out of style. And, then as you develop the hydropower to replace the dirty coal, and I don't think coal is really all that dirty, at least in this country. If you go to other countries like China and stuff, it's really filthy over there.
Well, sir, just a second. Let me make a point here with you, and I want to get your response on this, because you're a knowledgeable person about this situation. Isn't it totally ambiguous and ridiculous that we are selling our coal to China and other countries who have a diminished lack of respect for the environment, but yet we're money greedy and we're going to sell it to them so that they can poison the atmosphere, but yet we're going to live on wind and solar? Now tell me who's the dummy in that story.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. See, if somebody puts in the corner of the sandbox, eventually it's going to set the other side.
You got it. And I tell you what, this administration and the EPA, it would not bother me at all to see a lights-out situation on them right now before the rest of America has to suffer, because I absolutely think we're going to see power rationing. I absolutely think we're going to see the buying and selling of power credits where the rich are only the ones that are going to have power, and many others might have to subsist by living in a cave and burning buffalo dung. If you think I'm exaggerating, I'm not.
No, I don't think you're exaggerating at all. And I think the caves are going to become a premium here before long.
I'm looking for mine this afternoon, and if I find one for your family, I'll give you a call.
Here's the thing that I heard the other day. It was on Steve Mitten's program. It was on his, Conspiracy Theory Thursday. And it's totally true because when I was a young man, I worked in the power industry as an apprentice lineman. I never finished it because the industry kind of went flat there for a while. I went and changed to something else. But if somebody sabotages just a few of these major transformers in our country, the whole grid, and I think they said it only takes 9 of them, will go down, and then everybody will be in the dark for at least a year.
I don't think there's a question about that. As a matter of fact, we've done programs on that in the past, and I've got another one scheduled in about 2 weeks on this, as to how fragile and how absolutely careless this government and this country has been in protecting our power sources.
Yes, and the other thing, too, is none of these power control systems, meaning the computers that control of it, are hardened against a triple X solar flare or a electromagnetic pulse from a enemy nuclear weapon detonation in the atmosphere.
I agree.
Completely in the dark.
No, I agree with you. We could go on and on and on, and the imbecilic attitude of this administration following the whims and wishes of the EPA and their stupid regulations are going to lead this country into chaos.
Yes, sure is. Well, that's all I got to say, so you have a good day.
All right, God bless you for your call. Thank you much. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, 7 locations of service. Absolute service to you and your automobile, whether it's a pickup, a car, SUV, horse trailer, boat trailer, whatever. The best in tires. That's not bragging. That's a fact. The best in tires. The best in front end alignment, shocks and struts, and, of course, the best in brake service. They really care. The best in batteries. And there again, I'll go back to the best in service with Wayne and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Simply put, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. Holy cow, we got a busy day tomorrow. We're going to have representatives on from the Cassia County Fair, Dr. History, many other people. Don't miss it. Zeb at the Ranch, starting at 8:06, riding the horse till 11 o'clock, right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m., and then streaming live all over the universe, ZebBell.com. Have a good day, a great day. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow. The way things were are the way things ought to be.